All right, very good afternoon to everyone here. If you have joined us for morning half of the segment, I'm back and welcome back. My name is Xander. I'm a Partner Success Manager here at Plug and Play APAC. And we are kicking off our Sustainable Cities Expo from now on. All right? So welcome back. And I see some of you holding your lunch. Please feel free to continue eating. And if you want to grab some more food, please feel free to do so as well. Hope you had a good lunch. And right now, let us jump straight into the segment. So before we do, let me run you through some of the agenda we are looking for this expo today. We will start off with a feature keynote, and following on, we will share with you what are some of the trends that have been ongoing in the sustainability, as well as the sustainable cities verticals that have been keeping us up at night. And of course, from there, we will look at two very interesting startups from our inaugural Plug and Play Malaysia program. You'll find out a lot more about what you do on the panel itself. And last but not least, you'll hear from 9 very interesting startups pitching their solutions to you, sharing to you what they are doing and how their solutions might be able to tie into sustainable cities. Okay, and with that, I hope you guys are ready. We will get the segment started. So to get it started for our feature keynote, please join me in welcoming Mr. Alvin Ng, the Chief Operating Officer for Smart Cities at Aboitiz Data Innovation, to share with us more about his thoughts and insights. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Alvin Ng, and please give him a round of applause.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Plug and Play, for this invitation. What a privilege. And then to all of you who either skipped your lunch or had your lunch and you are here, so thank you. Thank you for joining. I'm actually going to cover a lot more focus around the way we think about data and AI in the world of smart cities. Maybe let me start off by giving you a quick perspective. When we talk about smart cities, we talk about the fact that we want to be more data-driven, more AI first in the way we think about how we develop both businesses, smart cities, and citizens. And the way we think about it is traditionally, when we make decisions, 70% of the way we make decisions is really around intuition and experience, and 30% data. And we begin to realize that as we develop and design the new smart cities of the world, we realize that data is becoming more and more critical in the way we think about that design, about that planning. And I'm going to cover a bit of topic on really around how data and AI is actually impacting the way we think about advancing businesses, government, and communities. All right? So a quick background on myself. I teach at the Nanyang Business School as well as an associate adjunct, and I work for a company called Aboitiz Data Innovation, and we'll spend some time giving you the case study of what we do and how we became an AI-first organization. We are based out of the Philippines. Background, spent quite a bit of time in both GE and Johnson Control, and Johnson Control was a lot about smart cities, all right? And that's why I'm here. So number one, how do we integrate AI and data in the way we do decision making? So I put up an interesting picture here. I just did this in the latest GPT-4. And I think those of you who pay $20 and on GPT-4, you can actually generate. And right now, the difference between DALL-E 2 and DALL-E 3, now that DALL-E 3 is basically integrated into your GPT-4. Right? So I was trying to find an image that actually talked a bit about how do we think about the future, our future world, in the way we make decisions. So I think all of you would know that we move up what we call the value chain of decision and the data maturity from a descriptive perspective, kind of what had happened, to a diagnostic perspective, why did it happen, to a predictive, what will happen, and to a prescriptive, how can we make it happen. And this is really the race of a lot of organizations, enterprises, cities, government officials to say, how do we become better at the way we make decisions? How do we become better at accelerating the data maturity of everything we do? So let me give you a quick perspective, right? So when we make decisions traditionally as leaders, we think of this as what we call hindsight data. We take patterns from the past, incorporate the current insights, and then we begin to make decisions for the future. Here's what happened. When COVID happened, we realized we never had patterns of the past. We realized that we don't have insights from hindsight that we can actually draw decisions upon. And now what's becoming more and more important is the concept of what we call dynamic insights from the new signals that we are seeing in order to drive what we call the strategic foresight and the new futures by creating those scenario and strategic options. So the idea is, as government, as businesses, as enterprises, we now need to muscle up that capability of saying, how do I become better at the way we think about strategic foresight through the concept of saying, I no longer just require the hindsight, I no longer just need the insight, but I now need dynamic insight, which are the new signals that we are talking about. Let me give you a simple example that we are talking about. So Aboitiz owns Union Bank, and we do a lot of what we call credit scoring with AI. And in AI, and the way we do credit scoring is very traditional. We look at patterns of the past from a particular individual, and then we figure out whether he's worthy for us to loan him some money. What if he's not a customer of ours? So the way we now think and the way we think about new signals is now you think, if I can get data, if he has buy an iPhone every quarter, sounds like someone that I want to loan money to because this guy can afford it. If he is 10 minutes from the next available, or he's 10 minutes away from the largest shopping mall in Manila, chances are that property prices are actually increasing. And if he owns the house and he lives there, chances are that he can actually afford to pay the loan back. So the idea is, can we look at new signals? Can we now look at things like satellite patterns, satellite images, and think about illumination patterns that's happening within cities and said, hey, the economic viability of a particular area within the city is increasing through just illumination patterns between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. That gives us insights into say, hey, actually, the people that are living in this area are now becoming more and more economical viable. What we do, we increase the diversity, we increase the accessibility of our loan to individuals in Philippines. That's the point. The point is, as we think about data, we have to accelerate that value of data. And therefore, this is where AI and data science becoming more and more powerful and becoming more and more critical and important in the way we make decisions, all right? Second aspect, we think of AI as a lot of confusion because people define AI in multiple aspects and have different definition. Here's what I want to challenge you and rethink that, can AI be translated into human functional areas? If you think about perception, is perception actually computer vision? If you think about reasoning, ability to understand relationship patterns through connected data, that's actually knowledge graph and representation. YouTube uses that all the time, or TikTok, right? If you look at communication and you learn from every interaction and therefore you process and generate human language, right, in a way that is contextual, that's ChatGPT. That's Google Translate. If you think about interaction, taking actions in a world, learning from trial and error, this is really what Tesla is doing in terms of autonomous vehicle. And if you think about decision making, I think this is something that we are very familiar with. We use AI to do a lot of predictive forecasts. But the moment we become simpler in a way we think about how do we translate data and AI for actually day-to-day use, I think this is a way we should think about it for the future, all right? So as we kind of advance business, again, I generated another picture. This is really a picture depicting a modern corporate office, right, with high-tech elements and interfaces of AI So the question is, can AI impact business of the future? Again, generated by DALL-E 3, all right? So let me give you a quick insight into Aboitiz. So Aboitiz Data Innovation is actually part of Aboitiz Group. And as I mentioned earlier, Aboitiz Group is the largest power producer in the whole of Philippines and largest renewable producer. We are also the second largest bank. And then we have a varied myriad of businesses from airports to cement to food business, both across Philippines and across Southeast Asia. So this is the Aboitiz Group. We have banking, we have power, we have land, construction, infrastructure, food, and then, you know, our sustainable and social aspect. But if you look at where I come from, I'm Aboitiz Data Innovation. Chairman of the family and the head of the family, Sabine Aboitiz, truly believe that the future of conglomerate is a tech conglomerate, a techglomerate. And the idea of that is, can we be a data-led, AI-first company for the future? Typical family business actually is slightly slow-moving. But what's interesting, and part of the reason I'm part of this team, is that we really and fundamentally believe that we have to be an AI-first organization. And the concept is, we need to be a learning organization of the future. What is AI? AI is learning technology. So if we want to transform and we want to help to become more sustainable, both as a company and help Philippines to transform as a nation and as a city, we ourselves have to transform. We are a few places across Asia, and this is where we are. I was mentioning about Union Bank. We spoke very briefly about how we really more financial sustainable, more financially inclusive, but we use now AI to lower the risk, but increase our accessibility to a wider audience, a wider demographic, you know, of population within Philippines for our loans. Aboitiz Power. Maybe I'll give you an interesting example. We have a large dam, and dam off a big river in Davao, one of our largest thermal power plants. And one of the biggest challenges is landslide prediction. Because when you have landslide and when particles or the rocks gets into the water, for us to actually use the water to power our electricity, it costs us millions just to clean the water. So we have to think about, how do we predict landslides? Traditionally, when we predict landslides, we put in extremely expensive geological sensors on the ground across the entire lake. And this is how Japan does it today, all right? But it's really expensive. So what we do is, like what I said about new signals and how we think about data, we now look at satellite patterns. And over the last 6 months, we look at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and we begin to figure out that illumination patterns are happening in pockets around the dam. And where that happens means the community is becoming more and more viable. There's more population growth in that community because of the illumination pattern. It means that there's more activity nearer to the ground, and therefore chances of landslide is higher. Not only we are talking about weather patterns, not only we are talking about communities growing near to the dam, we are also talking about plant growth. That we can actually measure plant growth from satellite, and the height of plant growth correlate to the depth of their roots, and therefore we can think about the higher the plants around the dam, the more stable the soil. We now look at AI and data extremely differently with all these new signals. For cement, from a sustainability standpoint, we spend a lot of time thinking about it. As you know, cement is not a very green production process. And we now use AI to actually predict, our strength of our cement before we actually sell it. And it usually takes 28 days now. It takes anywhere between 3 and 4 days. I can't talk about AI without thinking about Gen AI. So I wanted to show you a slide that I thought is quite powerful. Where we are today, we have both foundational models. I think those of you who understand this, and enterprise, we can now do enterprise AI, and then we can begin to work with a lot of different startups that plug and play is evolving into to really drive this space. And if you begin to see the world of knowledge worker, we are actually transforming every single function that they are playing. And this is how we think of it as an organization in Aboitiz, that we believe and fundamentally believe that the future worker within the Aboitiz group needs to be an AI-enabled knowledge worker. So the question out there has been around for us, we don't look at AI as an industry. We actually look at Gen AI as a function. And therefore, whether is it applied to our cement business, to our banking business, or to our power business, we look at it from the lens of actually functions. And therefore, we leverage Gen AI and how we think of data from a functional perspective as we scale as a platform across the entire organization versus seeing it from an industry perspective, all right? So I talked a bit of the first part. I talked a bit about advancing businesses. Let me now quickly cover advancing government. So very quickly, if you can see, this is probably 2023 top 5. When you talk about AI for government, these are the top 5, right? From smart cities to healthcare to law enforcement, environmental and monitoring, sustainability, and education system. Singapore is a great example. I think all of you who are in Singapore, I'm not going to go too deep on this. Microsoft, we partner with Microsoft quite a bit, really. But on the healthcare side, they have Project Inner Eye that kind of predict tumors. Chicago Police, in fact, Singapore Police does a great job at this. Global Forest Walk with Stanford University is really getting algorithms to analyze kind of global climate deforestation. And then lastly, in Singapore, actually, pretty interestingly, Republic Poly, for those of you who know Republic Poly, our newest polytechnic, they actually use a lot of Gen AI in the way they teach, interestingly, all right? I think all of you know our AI strategy in Singapore. I wanted to show you this, but here's what's very powerful. And with Plug and Play, we talked a lot about ecosystems. If you think about what we do in this world and in the world of data and AI and in advancing smart and sustainable cities, it's a team sport. We can't do this alone. We have to need ecosystem. And Singapore government thought of this way back. As they were launching Smart City, the AI strategy was a significant component of the entire Smart Nation plan. And they actually been very clear on applying AI in transport, in smart cities, in healthcare, in education, in safety and security, okay? Some of the key examples, I think those of you who know GovTech well, Project Pensive, Selena, and One Service Chatbot are things that GovTech have been developing, but everything with AI, okay? The third topic is advancing communities. I think this is something that all of us think a lot about. But what's really powerful is, think about this as Gen AI, how it has transformed now. We've been spending a lot of time with mayors in Philippines and in different cities. And they are beginning to think about how do you adopt Gen AI, not because they want to transform their processes and function within the government. Not only that, but the ability to have a chatbot for citizen, not to increase just productivity, efficiency, and optimization of the way they interact with the citizen, but more importantly, become collection of data. The moment you are chatting, what happens? You are actually providing data, the way you think, the questions you ask. Now you can now use behavioral science to figure out how the sentiments of your citizen. So now, Gen AI and AI as a whole is no longer just a productivity and optimization tool. It now becomes a citizen data collection tool for some of these cities. And that is fundamentally transforming the way they think about the future. Some of the use case, citizen engagement, education, accessibility that we talked about. I want to show you two little videos, and I'm going to end. I've got about 20 minutes on this, so I'm going to end here. But let me show you. This is a healthcare transformation use case that actually leverages AI and Gen AI to actually transform. Listen in.
Artificial intelligence is set to take a mobile phone app that helps blind and partially sighted people to the next level. It'll speed up the way the app helps in many of the everyday decision-making processes, which sighted people take for granted.
At the age of 17, Lucy Edwards lost her sight altogether. Now a bit of tech is helping her picture
voice memos
what she can't see.
Open Be My Eyes.
Take picture.
Lucy is one of the first in the world to trial an artificial intelligence-powered app.
What's in the fridge? Question mark.
To not only describe the world around her,
Such as eggs, milk, cheese.
but to contextualize it too.
What can I make with these ingredients? Question mark.
Virtual volunteer. There are many dishes you could make with those ingredients, such as an omelette, scrambled eggs, or grilled cheese.
That's so cool.
The app uses ChatGPT, an AI-powered tool which this week was updated to be able to interpret pictures as well as words.
Based on the picture, it seems like the milk expires on the 21st of December, 2023.
It's really good just to, make sure I know that I'm not going to kill myself or anyone else around us by eating mouldy food.
Does it always get it right?
Yeah, I would say 95% of the time. What are the models wearing in the photo?
The models are wearing various outfits from the Chanel Spring/Summer 2003 ready-to-wear collection.
This app makes me cry. I took a photo of a tube map and it told me where to go. I had not been confident on the tube for 10 years and it's doing that. So I can't wait for what else it can do.
The app's been going for 8 years, but previously relied on human volunteers to advise.
As a blind person, it gives me the autonomy not to have to ask for human sighted assistance anymore, and that is massive. Now my phone and me can be independent without anyone else, and that means more to me than anything.
It's not perfect. For example, it can't tell closely related dog breeds apart, and it will often still offer the option to connect with a real-life human. But its developers say it's learning every day and will soon be released for free worldwide.
Imagine that 253 million people in a very short amount of time have better access to the world through this technology. I think that's the promise.
The dress has a mixture of paisley and floral.
Yeah, and does the technology exist way back? The answer is yes. But with Gen AI and with the advancement of how AI, we can string all these use cases together, suddenly a brand new use case appears. I think what this is teaching us is what I call the art of the possible, right? That as we think about sustainable cities of the future, I think having ability to harness data, unlock that value, and learn from data becomes extremely powerful. I'm just going to give you the last case, which is what we call Khan Academy. And you can search this for yourself. I'm not going to play the video, but Khan Academy has now adopted Gen AI. So we think of Gen AI as the way a lot of teachers are scared to say, is Gen AI going to replace the teacher? How am I going to teach? If my students is using that, what happens? You know, in school, in university, here's how I use Gen AI. I get my students, the MBA students, to think about a topic, and I say, you can use whatever you want. You can use Gen AI. But here's the question that I'm going to spend time and mark your question on, and that question is, if you use a tool to help you with the answer, and if you don't use the tool, what will your answer be? Please compare the difference. Now, you push critical thinking. Same concept. When we first started studying, we never had a calculator. Now that we have calculator, what happens? The questions became difficult, more difficult. But we still use the calculator. So AI is not going to go away. The way we think about AI should be this. AI is not replacing a human. Humans who understand AI will replace humans. And I think as we evolve, as we drive smart and sustainable cities of the future, let's think about how data and AI can actually be leveraged to advance and accelerate that. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alvin. Again, can we give another round of applause to Mr. Alvin? All right, very quickly, moving on to the next segment. Right now, we will share with you what are some of the trends in the sustainable cities and the sustainability sectors that are keeping us excited and on our feet. Please join me in welcoming Chandni, our Ventures Associate here in Plug and Play APAC. Please give her a round of applause.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're all enjoying a lovely lunch so far and the summit activities. So thank you, Xander, for the introduction. So my name is Chandni. I'm the Ventures Associate for Sustainability in APAC for Plug and Play, based out of the Singapore office. So just wanted to say a big, welcome to the Plug and Play Singapore Summit. We're really excited to have you here. Before we get started, I'd love to see a quick show of hands. Who here is interested in sustainability? Yay! Okay, I'm really glad. I was a bit worried, only a small minority would put their hands up. Okay, second question. Who here is looking to invest in or engage with climate tech startups within the next 12 months? Okay, that's really great. So basically, I just wanted to give a quick overview of what we've been doing here at Plug and Play Sustainability over the last few years. So I'm really proud to say that our sustainability program and vertical has recently just turned 4. And since 2019, we have launched 10 different hubs around the world, 6 different industry pillars. We've made 39 investments into some really exciting companies. And we've also partnered with over 38 different corporations. So we've also helped form over 210 pilots and POCs with the startups that we've accelerated in our acceleration programs. And most importantly, we've helped these startups raise over $200 million in capital. So over here is just some exciting news I'm really proud to share. Plug and Play has been named the most impactful VC by Climate 50 this year. And this is actually for the 2nd year in a row. So this is all thanks to the hard work of our sustainability team globally. And we also hope to continue providing impact as we grow. So what we have here, as you can see from the map, our sustainability vertical was set up in 2019 in San Francisco. And since then, we've expanded to and established hubs in South America, South Africa, EMEA, as well as APAC, Singapore being the headquarters of the APAC region. We've also accelerated more than 246 startups, over 23 batch programs, and we're still counting. So here's a snapshot of our sustainability pillars. So our team has been engaging with startups that are doing great work in carbon neutrality and clean resources, which is a combination of energy and water technologies, shelter tech for affordable housing, and sustainable fashion. So the reason that our last pillar here is in green is because our mining initiative is brand new. We're actually launching our sustainable mining program next year. And we are very excited to delve deeper into resource extraction, metal recycling, as well as EV battery recycling technologies, just to name a few. So we have a unique portfolio of investments with investment stages ranging from pre-seed to Series A. They received a lot of traction and helped result in our Climate 50 #1 ranking. This is also because we have a unique 50-50 spread between our software and our hardware investments. And 42% of our startups, our portfolio startups, have all female founding teams, which adds to our impact investment mandate. So some of the newest investments we've made is Monali and Thalo Labs, as you can see here, marked by the golden star. I'm thrilled to share that our portfolio startups have actually raised over $500 million so far, which is really exciting. This is really a testament to our incredibly hardworking, sustainable ventures team globally, who've been able to leverage their subject matter domain expertise to drive these investments forward. So we also believe in the power of knowledge transfer. And so with a team full of domain experts and analysts, we consolidate insights based on value chains and technologies of interest to work with our corporate partners. These are proprietary to Plug and Play. And this is where we've broken the sustainability sector into different segments in order for us to understand where there are emerging trends, where the market saturation is, and if there are any key areas that VCs and corporations should be investing in and focusing on now. So here on the screen, you can see some of the key areas that we're delving into. Over 8 of these reports, they actually cover 64 different sectors across sustainability. Not only are we using these reports and all of this information and data to help with our corporate partners and our accelerator programs, but we've also been using this to invest heavily into the sustainability sector. So right now, I'll dive a little bit into the climate tech investing landscape on a high level. So what's really interesting in the investment community is that when you look at the data for seed stage funding across all sectors, we find that climate tech fundraising rounds have the highest median pre-money valuations as well as the median cash raised. So the deal counts in climate tech have also been increasing year on year. So this indicates that investors are continuing to de-risk these technologies by putting in more capital into the climate tech space. So given these insights and trends, we foresee that there will be a lot more active participation in the climate tech space and fundraising rounds, especially from both corporates and VCs globally. So usually we find here that early stage startups have actually fared a lot better than our late stage and growth stage startups, especially within the first 6 months of this year, 2023. So what's really going on here? 2 things. One, we find that investors are allocating more capital towards earlier technologies across the value chain, either because they want to support their big bets of their existing portfolio, or because of updated internal learnings. 2, we find that growth investors have already picked their horses. So what I mean by that is these investors have already made their biggest bets in climate tech investments in 2021 and 2022. And now they just want to wait and see how these companies' fortunes are growing and see how they play out before these growth stage investors go out again. So we find that a new cohort of early climate tech companies that were founded at the start of the climate tech boom, they're now climbing the ladder and maturing, but still not fast enough, and they're still not considered seasoned enough to warrant, mega valuations and ticket sizes. So these are just some high-level sector highlights that I'll be delving into. So we're finding that up-and-coming verticals such as built environment and industry, which have historically been underinvested in, actually saw larger capital injections, especially in the past 8 months. So what's really interesting is that decarbonization in the built environment is still considered one of the most cost-effective ways to mitigate climate change. So based on data and also investment trends, we've also seen a lot of potential with continued innovation and collaboration to decarbonize the sector. This is especially in the US, thanks to enthusiasm from IRA and EU subsidies. We find that APAC countries are also following suit with their own government subsidies for this space as well. One example is the Building Construction Authority, in liaison with the Singaporean government, have subsidies for SLEB buildings, which are super low energy buildings. So some of the key areas can be innovations in materials such as sustainable methods to extract, treat, and build buildings with cement, steel, wood materials, while at the same time not compromising on durability and shelf life. So over here we find agriculture being one of the main GDP drivers for the APAC region, is also contributing towards the whole evolution of this sector. So we find that deep breakthrough technologies that have been proven at a small scale are actually worth taking market risk because we believe that there's a latent demand for greener products. We also find that data is also helping to create transparency for supply chain, as well as providing better analysis. So this can lead to a more efficient production and modification of crops to improve yield. There's also business model innovations, such as software, that can be applied to new industries. These are catalyzing a regenerative step change in the ag tech sector. Outside of software and data analytics being applied here, we're also seeing a lot of advancements in robotics and even electrification of ground vehicles and machinery. So these technologies are becoming quite top of mind as agricultural companies and farmers are looking to decarbonize so that they can tap on to all of these numerous subsidies that are within reach. So we can drive impact by scaling resource imagination, carbon-to-value technologies, such as converting waste feedstocks into industrial building blocks. So some great examples in this space are startups that are using CO2 as feedstock for gas fermentation in order to create carbon-negative foods and textile materials. Okay. So we're seeing that there's been a recent surge in startup activity on the carbon capture side of things, which I think, as you all know, there's also been a recent surge in startups that are working on carbon conversion and utilization of carbon to make new products. So this space represents a major shift for the carbon ecosystem, and it can also encourage high levels of capture that's necessary to meet the 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius shift. So you can see in this chart data, we've mapped out the startups that we've identified from our ecosystem. So these are across a wide range of industries. So they're ranging from chemicals and fuels to materials, food, textiles, even hydrogen and energy. So CO2 can actually also be used to produce fuels and chemical intermediates. And there are various conversion routes that startups are innovating in this space. So some of the key industries active in the carbon-to-value space are predominantly in the cement, building materials, and biomass spaces. These industries have shown the largest interest and have been found to drive the most impact in those areas. So to act on these innovation opportunities, we're seeing that a lot of key roles are emerging for both VCs and corporates alike. So we find that investors and corporations both have a tremendous opportunity to de-risk these technologies. This can be in the form of providing capital, engaging LPs, and helping entrepreneurs navigate the climate tech space and the regulations that come with it. So in order for these startups to succeed, they really need an environment to grow and scale their tech in, and this can be provided by folks like yourselves. So it's really crucial for investors and corporates to provide capital and support for climate tech startups, especially at the earliest stages of development. So this can actually speed up the commercialization of novel technology in these spaces. Just wanted to give a big thank you. And if you're interested in getting involved with our plug-and-play sustainability program, please feel free to reach out to myself or a member of our team, and we'll be more than happy to chat with you. Have a great rest of the event, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Chani. If any of you have any more questions, please feel free to find Chani or any of our plug-and-play team members. We'll be happy to connect you to the right people. For our very next panel, we will be introducing to you two of our startups, very interesting startups from our inaugural Plug and Play Malaysia program. The panel will be moderated by Kishore, our Plug and Play Ventures analyst. Please join me in welcoming our speakers, Simon, founder of Seedling, Patrick, CEO of Tannaling, and of course, Kishore from Plug and Play. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I hope the lunch is not making you guys a little bit sleepy. But let's take this forward, yeah? So my name is Kishore. I'm part of the APAC Sustainable Cities Ventures team, and I look after investments in this space. Together with me, I have two panelists from Malaysia, actually. Perhaps I'll let Simon introduce
Doesn't look
yourself.
like it. We don't look Malaysian.
Hi, I'm Simon Davis. I'm the founder and managing director of Seedling. We're a seaweed biotech startup. We make ingredients for animal feed, plant biostimulants, and human food from seaweed. And we've got a unique model in that we've got IP both upstream and downstream. We develop our own proprietary seed stock and our proprietary processing methods to make unique ingredients.
Thank you very much, Simon. All right, Patrick, how about yourself?
Hi, I'm Patrick. The company I work for, represent, is called Tannaling. This is a company that links back Tanah, which is the word for land in Malaysia, with their owners, planters in particular. So I operate in the tropical plantation space. AKA oil palm, so I'm kind of the villain in the room, an industry that's been vilified. But we help plantations sustainably intensify with the moratorium on deforestation well in place and not a lot of deforestation happening around us. We have to find ways to increase yields. We do that with a combination of IoT technology that we deploy on the field, and we help plantations increase their yields by managing their workers better and do more for the same amount of land without increasing any resource utilization.
Got it. Thank you very much. Okay, so Simon, here's a question I have for you, right? Agriculture is one of the oldest industries known to mankind. It impacts the very needs of our society to provide sustenance. That being said, it has also been one of the industries that has directly contributed in terms of carbon emissions. How is your company helping to alleviate this issue in the products and solutions that Seedlings are offering?
Well, we all know that our agri-food system's under significant strain at the moment. They need to decarbonize, and that they need to serve an enlarging population, and also they need to do it in a time of climate uncertainty. Food security and looking at carbon are major issues right now. And honestly, if we're not looking at the ocean as a part of the solution for this, then we're not addressing the problem properly. Seaweed is entirely sustainable, and it's unique in that it offers carbon solutions both in the farming, the cultivation of the seaweed, and in the product applications. So when you farm seaweed, it captures carbon, and as well as that, it improves biodiversity, reduces ocean acidity, and captures nitrate pollution. And then in the product applications, it's got numerous benefits for carbon. We work with a species of seaweed that when you feed it to livestock, to cattle, it reduces its methane emissions by more than 90%. This is a game changer. And then we develop plant biostimulants that, as well as naturally encouraging plant health, they're carbon negative in their manufacturing, and as well as that, they capture water and retain water in the soil. But this is just the beginning. There's more than 12,000 different species of seaweed, 12,000, and only a handful have been worked with so far. So at Seedling, what we're doing is tapping into this rich, untapped source of ingredients and bringing it to the world. Lastly, it's entirely scalable. The ocean is more than 70% of the Earth's surface, and it's currently vacant space. We can use this to grow valuable biomass that is carbon negative using unused ocean space without using fresh water or chemicals.
Oh, right. Okay. So adding on to that, right, while we all can acknowledge that sustainability is indeed a top priority for us, what are the challenges that the agriculture industry as a whole is facing when it comes to shifting towards greener alternatives? Perhaps, Patrick, you can take this question?
Thank you. So I can't speak for the whole of agriculture. There are many types of agriculture. Where we operate our tropical plantations, and really what we are facing and the problems we are solving is one of difficult and harsh environments in which to operate. These are vast expanses, thousands of hectares, situated deep in various forests in South America, Africa, Malaysia, and the forests of Borneo. And so how do you bring technology to a place where the soils are made of peat and mechanization is difficult? And how do you find something that you can deploy in a place where there's no internet, where there's no power? So if you're going to use data as a way to sustainably intensify, to understand what's happening on the ground and improve it, you need to find stacks of technology that are going to work in these harsh environments. Secondly, the cost is an issue. A lot of these plantation work are within the commodity markets. And so those commodity markets, as you may know, the price is driven low by the buyers. Very often these are markets that are not quite monopolies, but where a few buyers control the entire market price. And so very little is left to the plantation owners and their managers to find budget. So finding a stack of technology that's, again, extremely cost effective. In our case, we managed to get the price down to $1 per month per hectare. And so that's really on the margin for many of these crops. And so it's a price offering that's difficult to say no. Finally, something we don't have a solution for that we are looking to partner with potentially is that they are very fragmented markets. And while 60% of the land bank in these plantations are owned by the top 5, 10, 15, 20 companies, 40% are in the hands of smallholders. It's going to be tremendously difficult to deploy technology to smallholders unless we find mechanisms to bring them into cooperatives. And so here we'll have to do maybe government partnerships where all of the smallholders in a geographically similar offer is offered a structure for them to manage their operations, and then we can bring innovations to them. So to recap, difficult environments have to be dealt with. Cost is a major issue, and fragmentation of the supply chain as well.
Right. Okay, so that actually leads to my next question, right? In your professional opinion, what do you reckon are the next biggest steps that the agriculture industry will have to adopt in order to continue providing while also being environmentally cautious? And who do you guys reckon has the biggest impact in spearheading these changes? Corporates, investors, government bodies, or individual farmers?
Simon, I know you have a good answer for that.
Yeah,
then
sure.
I'll take the second part.
I would say that it's not any on that list, it's actually consumers. If you look at the leading market trends at the moment, it's all food as a natural medicine. It's all natural ingredients, functional foods. Consumers are increasingly demanding ingredients that are healthy, they're natural, they're not chemical, they're not synthetic. They're sustainable, they're ethically sourced, and increasingly demanding the carbon footprint of what they're eating, what they're consuming. This is pulling corporates, manufacturers into the conversation. So as a seaweed ingredient company, we work with very large corporates who say to us, okay, look, we've got to come up with an ingredient that does this benefit that replaces a synthetic. It's a natural ingredient. Can you help us with this? Or we need to decarbonize our full supply chain, so we want to find the way of putting in seaweed ingredients because they're low carbon or carbon negative. And this is just the beginning. So if there's any manufacturers in the audience today, please come and grab me if you're interested in how seaweed can change your products.
Thank you, Simon. How about you, Patrick?
So again, you know, the crop I work the most with is extremely vilified, palm oil. But the fact is, it only, in terms of carbon contribution, is less than 0.5% of what the agriculture carbon footprint is, and it produces, I think, 70% of the oil that is generated in the world. So for us, really changing the narrative around these crops, in particular, we have now things such as the RSPO, so sustainable palm oil, and most of the buyers in the room are going to be sourcing from RSPO plantations, but they're not willing to pay the premium, right? So they'll still pay the same price as non-RSPO. So for me, those are some of the issues that need to be solved for the small planters to be willing to get on the bandwagon. All the large planters are now sustainable, but how do we get the medium players to make that step, not just in terms of filling up forms, but actually take the step to sustainably intensify?
Right, okay, and I have the last question for the day, and this is kind of a bonus one. In one sentence, describe why are you passionate about agriculture? Let's go. I know I didn't prepare you for this, but I just wanted you to know.
Yeah, no, for me, it's like, I can't put it in one sentence because it's not just about agriculture, it's about the ocean, using the ocean to feed the world. You know, I discovered seaweed 8 years ago, and it captured my heart, and I became completely obsessed. Because this is a solution that's got tremendous benefit to bring, but it's in the Stone Age in terms of technology. So for me, it's all about how we can use the ocean sustainably as a solution to feed the world.
So I've been in the region for 51 years. That's why, you know, you can call me Malaysian. And I was brought up with the stories about oil palm being a miracle crop as it was planted, and then I saw the whole vilification of it. And then you know, some people are not going to like it, but a lot of the deforestation was caused by EU directives to produce biofuel, and suddenly Indonesia went crazy to say we're going to produce biofuel. And then two decades later, Europe says, you know, no thanks, we don't want that oil, and you're addressing the orangutan problem, which is a problem. I'm not going to deny that. So I only got exposed to palm oil professionally when I came back from India, where I spent 2 decades in 2019. And it's a bit like a walk in the park. You know, I went to a plantation and said, maybe for the first time in my life, I can do something that actually impacts people and the world, and gave me a sense of purpose. Because till now, I had been just writing software for other companies, and for once, it's with a real impact.
All right. Okay, I believe we have come to the end of our segment today. We hope that you guys have learned a little bit about the challenges in implementing sustainable practices in the agriculture sector, and what the startups in our ecosystems are doing to alleviate these hurdles. Feel free to come down and chat with any one of us, and thank you very much for being a lovely audience, and thank you guys.
We've given you 3 minutes back, by the way.
All right.
Thank you again, Simon, Patrick, and Kishore, for joining us today. Okay, so that comes to our final segment for this Sustainable Cities Expo, which is you'll be hearing from 9 different startups on their very exciting solutions. So before I get the first startup, just to prepare our startups a little bit, so because we have a time constraint, so we do have a very strict 3 minutes policy. So if remember that when you're pitching through, you'll be able to see the timer right here below. And at 3 minutes mark, you'll be hearing a bell. And if you decide to continue, you probably might find me joining the stage with you. So don't be surprised. So remember to keep it close, or if not, around about 3 minutes, and try not to go over it. Okay? And for the rest of our audience, also just very quickly, if you want to connect with any of our startups, you can either look for any of our Plug and Play team members, or you can visit our website, check our event page. You'll be able to find the information right there. Okay, so enough of me, and right now let me bring up the very, very first startup, Tiara. So I will not try to butcher their description, but very quickly, Tiara enables clean and sustainable production of compound and peptides. Please help me to welcome Rishita from Tiara.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I'm Rishita, founder at Tiara, where we want to build the future of sustainable food. What that really means, when we dug deeper, we realized that we already produce enough food for 10 billion people, but most of it is lost to diseases or pests. This is even worse when it comes to aquaculture, where between 70 and 100% of the produce can be lost to diseases. This was a statement made by Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, where the mandate is to reduce losses to less than 50%, to between 50 and 20%. The current solutions for this include antibiotics, pesticides, which are definitely not desired, and they increase the risk of diseases in humans. Hence, at Tiara, we are on a mission to replace some of these harmful chemicals, bring natural, clean, and sustainable solutions to prevent diseases sustainably in agriculture and aquaculture. The very first market that we go after is aquaculture. It is a $280 billion industry. It is also the single fastest growing industry in all of food production that produces the healthiest and least wasteful animal protein. Yet, it is ridden with diseases. This is the state of art of disease management in aquaculture, where every single animal, in this case salmon, is injected with vaccines. This is definitely led to reduction in losses and reduction in use of antibiotics. But if you think about tiny animals like shrimp, can you imagine injecting a 1 centimeter shrimp? This is one of the most profitable industries where farmer doubles his money, yet it is a double or nothing, because several times the entire crop can be lost to diseases such as the white spot syndrome virus. And currently, no viable solutions are available in the market. The current trend in vaccines uses whole microorganisms or bacteria, which cannot be used directly in the food, which are difficult to produce when it comes to viral diseases, and are injection-based, so boosters are not possible. It's extremely stressful for the animals, and it is expensive for the farmers, so it cannot be scaled in Asia. This is the reason we have a SOLAC platform where we have a biotechnology engine to design new kind of vaccines and solutions for aquaculture using precision fermentation. And finally, we deliver this in the food, so we get rid of the injection practices. We validated this platform where compared to controls, we have more than 90% survival in the animals. And this is the results of the same. With that, we have a lot of demand from the industry. And I would like to invite you to our booth outside on table 4, where we say that it is easy to adopt, it is easy to produce and transport, and it is low cost for the farmers. With that, we hope to go from less than 1% vaccination to more than 80% vaccination. Very happy to talk to you more about this. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot, Rishita. All right, so you can hear the bell just now. The next one, it will be louder, I assure you. So please do take note of the time. And we have the booths, as Rishita mentioned, outside as well. You can always find the startups there. So next up, we have Mariani, Philippines' fastest growing farm-to-table solution. Please let us welcome JT from Mariani.
Thanks a lot. I think it's good to really have and to be back finally in Plug and Play APAC Summit. You know, it's been 2 years, maybe a couple of pounds ago. My name is JT Solis. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mariani. And our vision is to empower smallholder farmers and fisher folks through a digital supply chain. If you take a look at the context of the Philippine agri-fishery sector, it's actually in a very dismal shape. Our farmers are fragmented. We have 7 layers of middlemen between the farmer and the consumer. And that supply chain is very opaque, very inefficient. So we ask ourselves a question, for a sector that actually contributes roughly 10% of the country's GDP and economy, how do we unlock its $20 billion potential? So if the farmers are fragmented, we consolidate, harvest, and catch at scale. We optimize that supply chain by taking out the middlemen. And third, we digitize it end to end. All of these things is actually underpinned by a proprietary tech stack that allows us to do 3 fundamental things. 1, create that massive data forest. Number 2, gain that efficiency advantage when it comes to making that supply chain very streamlined. And number 3, capturing that data efficiency and that data oil to be able to have that predictive firepower to better match market demand with fragmented supply. And so what we said, our business model is clear and simple. We actually put up a margin for every harvest and catch that we distribute downstream, as well as very recently actually started distributing seeds, feeds, as well as started providing agri-credit to our farmers. In a lot of ways, we created that tech revolution that disrupted the agri-value chain for the better. From what literally started from a very small apartment garage in the middle of Metro Manila, now we move truckloads and truckloads of fresh produce and harvest coming from 7 regions across the country, working with some of the biggest partners in the ecosystem, being there when and where it matters the most. Right now, we're ahead of the curve in the Philippine agri-fishery space. We currently work with over 100,000 organized farmers and fisher folks. We're present across 23 cities and municipalities. We've achieved over 148% revenue growth for the last 12 months, working with some of the largest supermarket chains in the entire archipelago, even moving sustainably caught seafood downstream. What keeps us motivated and really fulfilled in every single thing we do is the fact that our farmers actually receive at least a 30% rise in boosted incomes, and a huge part of our farmers are actually women, which speaks of our contribution to the agricultural she economy. All of these things is made possible by a team with over 150 years of experience in e-com, agri-trading, and supply chain, as well as guided by a global board advisor, our very own Jojo Flores, a plug and play in the middle, as well as our former Agriculture Secretary, Cito Lorenzo. In the middle of last year, we were able to successfully raise a 1.7 million seed round, anchored by Ag Funder, joined by Plug and Play Ventures, as well as a lot of Southeast Asian VCs, even a blue fund based out of Australia. The next big thing for us is how do we address the agri-credit gap in the Philippines? And so we said, maybe in the agri-fishery sector, the best fintech companies don't look like fintech companies. Maybe they look like supply chain companies. Our booth is over there. We'd be happy to reshape the agri-fishery sector with you guys. This is what motivates us every day. My name is JT. It's jt@mayani.ph. Thank you.
Thank you, JT.
That's a loud bell.
Perfect. That was good. That was good. All right. So third on the list, we have Zonoi, which is an AI SaaS company helping manufacturers enhance plant productivity and energy efficiency. Please let us welcome Varun from Zonoi.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. All right. So we at Zonoi work with industrial operators and help them become energy efficient by using our AI platform. Now, I'm the co-founder CEO with 20 plus years of B2B commercial experience. My co-founder, Dr. Sivam, he has a PhD in AI for machine performance in industrial applications. Now, almost 500 billion USD of energy is lost in manufacturing plants all over the world due to process and equipment issues or inefficiencies. That's what we want to solve at scale. Why now? One, industrial prices are escalating, and number two is the climate imperative, which has made this issue top of mind for most manufacturers. But then why hasn't this issue been solved effectively so far? The reason for that is, number one, the complexity. Because to solve for energy, it's not just about energy data, it's about your production patterns, process data, health of your equipment. It's complex, and a lot of the times that data doesn't even exist with these manufacturers. Second is the infrastructure and related costs, because globally, 30% of the equipment still are non-digital, which means no data to tap into. So how does one even begin to start solving such a complex problem? Clearly, what is needed is a simple, scalable, and cost-effective solution. And that's exactly what we have set out to do. So, yeah, sorry, I've just got two hands. So what we're using is a simple clamp-on sensor, so this goes around the wire into each equipment. Now, just by tapping into the electric current data, this electric current data is streamed to our AI-based platform and is able to generate insights for the plant. Now, these insights are not just related to energy saving, but also related to productivity and predicting the breakdown of equipment, right? So I'll repeat again, just by the simple infrastructure, we're helping these manufacturers solve three problems. Now, that is why we believe this can be a game changer and really cut through the hype of Industry 4.0 for these manufacturers. So our target segment, before the target segment, I mean, just to kind of visualize, on the left, one of our pilot customers was able to save 10% just by getting a view on all of the information we were able to piece together on productivity. And then there's some energy use cases. So we're working with mid-market manufacturers. Again, this solution makes it a game changer because they have a 3x impact by just a very simple infrastructure. In a short time, we launched our MVP around 6 months back. We already are working with a dozen manufacturers. 2 of them have moved from trial into commercial rollout. We've secured 700K US, our pre-seed is 700K USD. We've already secured 430K. That'll help us, the remaining balance will help us strengthen our team, mature our product, and sell further. So looking forward to talking further with you and hopefully collaborating with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. All right, to the startups, if you can pitch here, I'm sure you can pitch anywhere. All right, so 3 minutes, remember that. And next on the list, we have Facility Board, which is a mobile and messaging first facilities management software. Please let us welcome Patrick.
All right, okay, all right. Thanks, everyone. My name is Patrick Sim. I'm the co-founder of Facility Bot. This is me. Okay. We are award-winning CMMS system, a computerized maintenance management system. Last year, we were very proud to win the Outstanding Tech Solution Provider Award by the FM Expert Summit. So the clients like us, right? So we are deployed in 8 countries, 2 million square meters, 26,000 users. Okay, what are we? We basically automate the FM processes. We've been doing this for 5 years. We believe that all smart and sustainable cities every building there should have a smart CMMS like Facility Bot. Okay, what are we? Why do our clients like us? We are omni-channel. We support many messaging channels for requesters to report issues. And we have many unique features. Okay, we reimagine the core maintenance features, making a lot of use of QR codes. We have customizable form for service requests, and also checklist creation, which is very important for our clients. Tenant experience is something we want to provide as well, so the tenants can make room bookings, they can make hot desk bookings, and we are also a visitor management system as well. so we engage very well with our tenants. Okay, we are also a single smart FM platform, which means that we need to provide many features for our clients: asset management, inventory management, attendance, even metering, and all these features here. So we have many features. Okay, we also allow seamless IoT integrations, very important for smart building, smart FM. So our clients can easily connect IoT sensors to us, and we can visualize and also automatically trigger fault reports. Reporting, again, very important function day to day for our clients. We have a customizable dashboard for them to report all the issues and visualize all the IoT sensor data, and whatever data we collect, we're going to be able to allow them to visualize it very easily and report to their management. We also help in the sustainability environment. We monitor energy, waste, air, because sensors can be very easily connected to us. And of course, tenant engagement, very important for smart buildings. And of course, we are always improving. In the last year, since generative AI became very easily to deploy, we have deployed various generative AI features, such as the automatic checklist generator. And of course, we have NLP in our chatbot as well, and we're using code interpreter for automatic chart generation. Okay, so we're looking to scale. In Singapore and the region, we are fully bootstrapped. We're not actively fundraising, but open to discussions. Thank you very much. 9 seconds left.
Thank you, Patrick. That is perfect. All right, again, if you have any questions, our startups are located downstairs on booths. Feel free to find them. Next up, we have Cornerstone. So you'll be watching a pre-recorded presentation by Cornerstone, which is helping to digitally transform workflows on a single and cloud-based platform for asset owners and managers. All right, we will start with the Cornerstone's presentation.
Hi, I'm Russell from Cornerstone, and we have been operating now in Singapore for 24 years. What we do is we offer an enterprise software specialized for property management. And we are here today because we see an opportunity to disrupt our own market, and we are looking to raise money for market development and also to help us pivot towards a platform-led business model. Cornerstone is placed perfectly at the convergence of two major trends right now, which is digitalization and rapid urbanization. As you can see from this chart, the amount of buildings is going to increase massively over the next few years. Now, our solutions can be used for any type of building, whether it's commercial, industrial, retail, or residential, in Singapore and in any other urbanized environment in any country in the world. Lots of different types of software is needed to run in a building, and those in our that I'm showing here on the screen are what are existing mature modules within our Cornerstone platform. We even offer our own payment gateway, which takes care of reconciliation of invoices created on our system. We are now looking to leverage these base modules in order to get more buildings into our platform and get our app into the hands of more people. And then we will monetize through premium features. These are the customers that we sell to. In our customer base right now, we have got townships, we have got ports even, industrial, commercial, retail, malls and condominiums, as well as government buildings. In terms of our growth drivers, we see there are three main growth drivers. The first one is sustainability challenges, which every building owner now faces, because the built environment accounts for between 20 to 30% of total global emissions. Building owners are now going to have to measure the emissions and try to optimize the amount of electricity as well as reduce their carbon footprint. And adopting a digitalization platform like ours is the first step towards that. Next, building owners are now faced with rising user expectations, both tenants as well as the people who live, work, and play in their buildings. In terms of smart offices, smart buildings, and better services to be provided by the landlord. Now, all these services can only be provided if the base platform is there, which is where we come in again. And lastly, our platform-led growth strategy, which I'm going to talk a little bit more. With the money that we're going to raise, we're going to increase the number of gateways into platform adoption. Already right now, any building owner would be able to use our platform for leasing management, maintenance management, a tenant app, or even smart access. Now, once we have the building in onto our platform, that's when we can monetize from all these premium features, which we are already doing so today. For example, using e-payments, smart door access, charging even for space management. Finally, our growth is only limited by our ambition. We have proven that our growth model works. In the last 3 years, we have actually increased our penetration into the residential estate market in Singapore, and we now have almost 30% of the market. In the next few years, we plan to do the same with the commercial and industrial space in Singapore and also in markets beyond. Thank you very much.
Okay, that is Cornerstone. You'll be happy to know that they also have a booth right down there in our startup area. So moving on to our next startup, we have Innovate Solutions, an AI-powered cloud platform for hospitality transformation. Please join me in welcoming Jalil from Innovate Solutions.
Thank you. Oh, started already. Here we go. Hospitality is a very large industry with a big problem in that hotels are data rich but insight poor. There's 500,000 hotels around the world, and they spend about $30 billion in their enterprise systems, and that spending grows by 15% per year. With all these disparate systems that the hotels use and access to other data sources, only 10% of that is used, which leads to very weak insights, here we go, poor decisions, and ultimately destruction of value, of asset value. Hi, I'm Jalil. I'm the founder and CEO of Innovate, the intelligent platform that turns disparate data into insights, predictions, actions, and results. How do we do that? Basically by integrating data from all the different data sources into our platform, our own proprietary technology and AI to provide analytics, predictions, actions, and insights. Basically, our customers are hospitality operators, owners, and asset managers, and with the using Innovate, they will have their decisions taken 100 times faster and more accurate, driving their efficiency by tenfold, and ultimately driving guest satisfaction, employee satisfaction, and their results and asset value. We are already trusted by blue chip customers. Accor is one of our global customers, as well as the Investment Corporation of Dubai, one of the largest sovereign wealth funds, and the largest advisory firm in real estate, Jones Lang LaSalle. With that, this year we'll be reaching 2.2 million of annual contract value. That's 3.5 times last year. That's 700 hotels. And next year we're looking at growing again by 3.5 times with 1,700 hotels and 7.7 million. And all of that in 90 countries over 6 continents and covering about 40 international brands. The secret is me. 350 years, not by myself, of experience in hospitality with my colleagues, as well as my co-founder who has 20 years of experience in technology. And we are blessed with an amazing advisory board with Amr, who's a Silicon Valley tech expert, Mike, who was the global head of hospitality for Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, Thierry, for example, who was the CEO and chairman of JLL, and Andreas, who is the M&A head for Ernst & Young. We are also so privileged to be supported by Plug and Play, who is an investor as well, Microsoft, and Google, with whom we are part of their startups program. Our business model is future-proof in that we have 4 different stages of monetization. Our SaaS platform is just an excuse, and that's step number 1. Moving on to user monetization, data monetization, and technology monetization. And with that, we're planning to reach 100 million revenue and 60 million in EBITDA. Thank you very much. Also, if you're ready to innovate, we're right down there.
Thank you, Jalil. Thank you very much. No worries. We started a few seconds. We're giving you back a few seconds. All right. So next up, we have Frontline, a construction planning simulation optimization platform with proprietary optimization algorithms. All right, Frontline, the next 3 minutes is yours.
Thank you very much. This one is not starting. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Luis. I'm the CEO of Frontline. and we're building the next generation of construction planning software. Why do we do this? We believe that project plans should be the backbone of every project, basically the recipe of how you build the stuff around us. But planning is an extremely complex activity. Any construction project has thousands of activities and resources, and this creates millions of planning combinations. And planning is done manually, which means it's extremely time-consuming. It takes weeks to develop a single project plan or to study a project alternative. This leads to very poor planning, and poor planning is a direct contributor to project delays. But we believe we can change this. How? With an easy-to-use web-based software. In 3 steps, construction teams can simulate and optimize their most complex projects. First, they upload their existing plan. Then they set the boundaries for the optimization, and then they let us do the rest. And lastly, they can select the best options and export them back. One example from one of our clients. The project team had challenges with finding qualified welders and mechanical fitters for this job. Frontline helped them find a project plan that reduced the manpower required to do the work, and at the same time reduced the overall project duration in almost 5%. We're very fortunate and proud to say that we're working with construction companies in projects all over the world. And the reason for this is that the problem that we solve is shared by contractors from Europe to Southeast Asia, all the way to Japan, and all types of projects, from the new Terminal 1 airport at New York to civil infrastructure projects, all the way to residential construction in Southeast Asia. We've had some good progress since the last time we were pitching on this scenario. The reason for this is the first of our paying customers has acquired multiple licenses of our software to deploy across all of their projects, and we're confident that all of our other customers will follow the same path. We're on the first step of our journey to build the autopilot that autonomously drives construction projects to success. Currently, we're focused on our core optimization engine, but we will be adding a number of features that will lay the foundation so that in the future we can gather live updates directly from the field and enhance construction planning. And this is possible because there's a great team behind it, not myself. Ricky, he comes from the NUS Center of Quantum Technologies. He's an expert in optimization. I myself worked many years in the industry, and we've assembled a world-class tech team to solve this problem. If you see the map, we don't have many logos in Southeast Asia, so if you can help us with some intros, we will appreciate it. We're in table 3 downstairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luis. Now I have a feeling that all the startups, when they look at me, they'll be reminded it's the 3 minutes person. All right, just moving on to our next startup is Concrete AI, a construction technology company committed to empowering construction sites with real-time data and crucial insights. So, all right, let us welcome Ting Yang from Concrete AI.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ting Yang. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Concrete AI. So our mission is simple. We look at how we can use innovative solutions to simplify some of the construction processes on site. So the team is led by a group of engineers. Myself, coming from the civil background with some prior experiences working with construction. We are also supported by various institutions and investors. So this is the common challenge. When we are on site, when we work with concrete, every time when we pour concrete, we have to know what is the readiness level of the concrete before we can proceed to the next task. And the whole industry is still using this very traditional and tedious process of using samples to figure out the strength in the actual structures. It is not only a very tedious process, it is also not representing what's happening with the actual structure itself. Typically, it slows down the entire cycle by 40%. And what this means is that for every level we're building, we're wasting about 4 days on this testing process, and that translates into $600,000 for project if we look at the timeline. So Concrete solved this by empowering the project with real-time access to the information about the concrete strength, temperature, humidity in real time 24/7 of any types of construction structures. And with real-time data, what projects can do? Firstly, they can reduce the construction time and therefore cutting down the operational cost. Secondly, they can have a better quality reassurance of what's happening with the structures to make sure they don't do anything prematurely that causes risk of rectification or failures. Then lastly, we also help RMCs to promote the utilization of green cement, which typically takes a longer process to react, and also help them to optimize some of the existing mix design to meet the challenging requirements by contractors. So what we envision the future of concreting should really transform from time-based, sample-based, trial and error to data-driven, in-situ, and just-in-time decision-making process. And how has this helped with different projects? We have one just completed project in Singapore with PUB. By using in-place monitoring, this project completed a month earlier compared to the neighboring projects, because every cycle they save 30%, which account for any breakdowns or any emergency, any delays in the construction planning. We also help with building project by helping them save on the floor cycle down from 10 days down to 7 days to help them to reduce the risk of delay and to move ahead earlier. So right now we are on a 20% month-on-month deployment rate for our hardware devices. We work mostly with Singapore and Malaysia with contractors, developers, RMCs, and precasters. Our business model is simple. We do service and hardware rental as a lump sum model for the project. And right now we are mostly working in the region and looking for overseas expansion in the upcoming month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ching Yang. Just nice on the spot. Right, so for our very last startup for this segment, we have Grim Bricks, so which will be also a recorded presentation, unfortunately, as they are unable to join us. So Grim Bricks manages revalue recycled plastics and construction waste. So we will get on with the presentation from Grim Bricks.
Grim Bricks, we think that it's no longer time to look for reasons. We must act. Currently, the construction industry is responsible for a large amount of carbon emissions and waste generation. On the other hand, plastic is one of the most polluting materials and represents a great challenge for the environment. The concrete market is expected to reach $1 trillion by 2027, with an annual growth rate of 7.9%, being the most consumed product. Our business model is based on a combination of income from direct sales of our ecological concrete products and collaboration with companies that wish to properly manage their industrial waste in a responsible manner, which is transformed into ecospaces, cycle paths, multi-courts, and many others. We develop a technology that allows us to transform waste plastic and other industrial materials into high-quality construction concrete. The heart of our products is a natural biopolymer based on aloe vera that gives concrete at least the same properties than normal concrete. Many of these products have better seismic resistance and come with a 100-year warranty. In addition, they are easy to install and are certified by different laboratories here in Chile. Here you can see a sample of what we do, ranging from wall cladding to modular homes with our ecological concrete. Some projects are the construction of a playground for vulnerable schools. We work with the Bank of Chile, and in this project, 10,000 plastic cars were revalued. And we are currently finishing a sport field in the capital of Chile, where we managed to revalue 2.1 tons of plastic. To date, we have achieved a sales volume for $90,000 and almost $400,000 in capital raised. Well, we are focused on accelerating our growth and carrying out our first capital raising to integrate a strategic investor into our team. We have an R&D team that develops tailored solutions for each industry, expanding the possibility of including new waste in construction solutions. In addition, we are happy to comment that we are supported by the UN and the Embassy of the European Union. At Green Bricks, we are committed to creating sustainable solutions that make a difference in the world. This is why we invite you to join our proposals and build together a more sustainable future. Thank you.
And so with that actually wraps up our Sustainable Cities Expo. Please help me give a round of applause to our startups who pitched before this. Okay, so as a wrap up, again, if there are any questions that you have for our startups who are here with us today, you can either find them at the booths below, or you can always reach out to myself or any of my team members here in Plug and Play. As mentioned, we'll be happy to connect you to them. Similarly, if you have any questions with regards to the programs, please feel free to look for any of us. And for those who have been here since the morning, I think you have seen enough of me. This is it for me today. I'll pass over the mic to Sheha, who will take you through the next segment. Thank you.